Hi, I'm Warren with Warren's Money Buffet. Today I'm going to take you through a fascinating real-life experiment that started 6 years ago, a bet between me and my fashion-obsessed friend Jake. The wager was simple. For every dollar Jake spent on designer clothes, I would invest an equal amount in Microsoft stock. What began as a joke turned into a powerful lesson about lifestyle inflation, compound growth, and why your wardrobe might be costing you your financial future. Let me set the scene. It's 2019. Jake is the guy who always has the latest sneakers, the flashy belt, and the trendiest hoodie. I'm the guy who wears the same pair of jeans until they fall apart and prefers spreadsheets over shopping sprees. That year we decided to track every dollar Jake spent on designer clothes. Izrania and I matched each purchase with an investment in Microsoft stock. No exceptions, no cheating. So what happened? Jake's Gucci belts and designer sneakers are now worth next to nothing. My Microsoft shares? As of June 2025, they're worth over $47,000. This is the story of the most expensive wardrobe never purchased. Let's dig into the numbers. The average American spends about $1,883 a year on clothes. That's $157 a month. Over 40 years, that's $75,320. Enough for a luxury car, a down payment on a house, or a serious head start on retirement. But Jake? He wasn't average. Here's Jake's actual spending in 2019. In the first quarter alone, he dropped $950 on Balenciaga SSS sneakers, $450 on a Gucci logo belt, $685 on an off-white hoodie, $290 on a Saint Laurent t-shirt, and $425 on Common Project sneakers. That's $2,800 in just 3 months. By spring, he was in full splurge mode. $1,350 for a Moncler jacket, $1,890 for a Prada backpack, $1,200 for 2 pairs of Amiri jeans, and $380 for designer sunglasses. That's another $4,820 gone. Summer essentials included a $645 Louis Vuitton wallet, $295 Givenchy slides, $450 Supreme Box logo shirt, and $185 Vetements socks. Yes, socks. That's $1,575. And in the holiday season? $1,295 for a Canada Goose parka, $895 for Christian Louboutin sneakers, $350 for a Burberry scarf, and $1,400 on year-end sale savings. That's $3,940. Jake's total spending in 2019 was $13,135. That's not a typo. $13,135 on clothes in 1 year. Now here's the reality check. What are those items worth today? The Balenciaga sneakers, once $950, now fetch maybe $200 on resale sites. The Gucci belt, if he's lucky, $150. The off-white hoodie, $300, and that's with a stain. Most of the items have lost 70 to 90% of their value. Total resale value today, about $1,800. That's an 86% loss. Over $11,000 gone. Meanwhile, let's look at what happened with Microsoft. In January 2019, Microsoft was already a tech giant, but it was just getting started on its next chapter. The stock price was about $107. The company's market capitalization was $830 billion. The price-to-earnings ratio was 26, and the dividend yield was 1.3%. Satya Nadella had been CEO for 5 years and was transforming Microsoft from a software dinosaur into a cloud powerhouse. That year, Azure was growing 76% year over year. Office 365 had just hit 200 million users. Teams was brand new. Xbox Game Pass was ramping up, and the LinkedIn acquisition was finally paying off. Every time Jake made a purchase, I matched it with a Microsoft buy. In the first quarter, I invested $2,800, buying 26.17 shares at $107 each. My thesis was simple. Microsoft was dominating the cloud, and the world was going digital. In the second quarter, Jake spent $4,820. I bought 38.86 shares at $124. Azure was starting to outpace AWS in growth rate. In the third quarter, he spent $1,575. I bought 11.39 shares at $138. Teams was exploding thanks to the rise of remote work. In the fourth quarter, another $3,940. I bought 26.09 shares at $151. By then, Microsoft had crossed the $1 trillion mark. At the end of 2019, I'd invested $13,135 and owned 102.51 shares of Microsoft. Now let's fast forward through the years. In 2020, COVID changed everything. Microsoft stock went from $157 to $222. My portfolio jumped from $16,129 to $22,757. Teams became essential, and Azure demand exploded as businesses scrambled to go digital. In 2021, the Artificial Intelligence Foundation was being laid. Microsoft's stock soared from $222 to $336. My portfolio grew from $22,757 to $34,443. Microsoft was building the infrastructure for the next generation of artificial intelligence, and its dominance in the cloud was solidified. In 2022, the resilience test. The stock fell from $336 to $240 during a tech crash, then rebounded to $280. My portfolio dropped from $34,443 to $28,703. But I held on, kept reinvesting dividends, and watched as Microsoft weathered the storm. From 2023 to 2024, the AI explosion. Microsoft stock went from $280 to $459. My portfolio soared from $28,703 to $47,052. The ChatGPT partnership made headlines. Copilot was everywhere, and AI became a major revenue driver. As of May 30th, 2025, I still own those 102.51 shares, plus the extra shares I picked up from reinvesting dividends. Microsoft closed at $460.36 on that date. My portfolio is worth $47,052. That's a gain of $33,917, or 258%. Jake's closet? Still full, but worth less than $2,000. Let's talk about dividends. The secret sauce. Microsoft pays you to own it. In 2019, the dividend was $1.89 per share. In 2020, $2.09. 2021, $2.30. 2022, $2.54. 2023, $2.79. 2024, $3.08. And for the next 12 months, it's expected to be $4.03 per share. Over these 6 years, I've collected $1,506 in dividends. But here's the magic. I didn't spend those dividends. I reinvested them, buying more Microsoft shares every quarter. Those reinvested dividends added about 4.3 extra shares, now worth nearly $2,000 on their own, plus their own dividends. The compound effect is real. My original $13,135 investment is now $47,052. Without dividend reinvestment, it would be $44,953. That's a $2,099 bonus just for letting the money work. Meanwhile, Jake's designer clothes paid him nothing. No dividends from a Gucci belt. No growth from an off-white hoodie. No shareholder perks from Balenciaga. His total passive income, zero. My Microsoft position now pays me $334 a year in dividends. Enough to buy a new designer t-shirt every year, forever. Let's pause for a second. Why does this matter? Because every dollar you spend on depreciating assets, clothes, cars, gadgets you don't need, is a dollar you're not putting to work. Lifestyle inflation is sneaky. You start out just wanting a nice pair of shoes, and before you know it, you're chasing the next trend, the next flex, the next must-have item. The costs add up, but the value disappears. I sat down with Jake last week to talk about the experiment. I asked, "Did the clothes make you happier?" He said, "For like a week. Then I needed the next thing." I asked, "What about dating? Did it help?" He said, "Turns out girls who like you for designer clothes aren't great long-term." I asked, "Any regrets?" He said, "Bro, you have $47,000. I have a closet of outdated clothes." Let's break down the psychology. Designer clothes give you instant gratification, social media likes, a temporary confidence boost. But they're a depreciating asset, with no passive income and a constant need for more. Stock ownership is the opposite. Delayed gratification, no Instagram flex, invisible to others. But it's an appreciating asset, with passive income and compound growth. There are hidden costs too. Jake rents a larger apartment just for his closet. He spends on dry cleaning, repairs, and insurance. The opportunity cost? $47,000 foregone. And psychologically, he's always chasing the next item. My own wardrobe, Uniqlo basics, one nice suit that's lasted 5 years, quality shoes I've resoled twice. I spend about $700 a year on clothes. The rest? Invested. $12,435 more in Microsoft over the years. So how can you make this trade-off in your own life? Here's a practical guide. Step 1. Audit your clothing spending for a month. Include shoes, accessories, dry cleaning, everything. Calculate the annual projection. Be honest. Step 2. The 50-50 rule. Cut your fashion budget by 50%. Invest the difference every month. Automate it. Delete shopping apps if you have to. Step 3. Make smarter fashion choices. Buy quality basics that last. Limit yourself to one statement piece per season. If you really want designer, try thrifting. Build a capsule wardrobe. Step 4. Pick boring, profitable companies for your investments. Microsoft is still growing. Apple is a dividend aristocrat. Or if you can't decide, buy the S&P 500 through an exchange-traded fund like VOO. Step 5. Track the difference. Screenshot your portfolio monthly. Compare to your fashion-focused friends. Let compound interest do its thing. Share your results for accountability. Let's project this out. If Jake keeps spending $13,135 a year on clothes for the next decade, that's $131,350. In 10 years, his closet might be worth $5,000. If he invested that same amount in Microsoft, and Microsoft repeats its last 6 years of performance, which, to be fair, is not guaranteed, he could have over $470,000. That's the difference between working into your 70s and retiring 5 to 7 years early. So what's the takeaway? I'm not saying you should dress like a slob or never buy anything nice, but that Gucci belt won't pay for your retirement. Microsoft will. And there's a happy ending. Jake's switching strategies. He sold most of his designer items, invested the proceeds, and now shops on a budget. His portfolio? Already up 23%. He says he's sleeping better too. So what's in your closet that should be in your portfolio? Drop a comment. Are you team designer or team dividends? And if you're ready to trade fashion for fortune, hit subscribe. Next time, AI individual stocks versus AI ETFs. Remember, compound interest is the best outfit you'll ever wear. Thanks for listening.